Hi, it's Tim Hagen from Progress Coaching, and welcome to another episode for the Coaching Conversations podcast. Now, we are on Stitcher, we are on iTunes, and multiple different channels. Please check us out. Now, one of the things that you'll get out of our podcast episodes is a lot of content, a lot of strategy. It's not fluff, it's not concept, yet we really want you to engage with the content and let us know your feedback. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. If there's topics you'd love to have us address, we would love to share them with you. Let us know your impact and let us know your feedback.
When I think about artificial intelligence, I think about something running downhill. It's running downhill and it's getting faster and faster. It's picking up steam. Think about it as a snowball in Wisconsin where I live, and really picking up more and more snow, getting bigger and faster. It's not going to be stopped. It's going to have some hiccups. It's going to have some errors, and so regulation will come into play. But as that ball rolls downhill, think about the impact that has, just for a second, just on leaders. Do leaders really understand artificial intelligence? They understand its output. They understand what it can do, but they're put into a very precarious position of representing artificial intelligence. Let me give you an example. One of our client sites has a great learning and development director, and she told me, she said, I don't have my arms around this. And I said, I don't think your arms are long enough. And we both started laughing. I go, I love this stuff, but my arms aren't long enough. There's so much that we're not going to get our arms around it. It's not like mastering an LMS platform or an instructional design model. What it's forcing us to do is to learn things at such a rapid speed while we're doing our jobs. And if we don't learn it while we're doing our jobs, we may not have our jobs. As cynical and sarcastic and as crude as that sounds, it's actually true. She later told me they found a tool that does development work. It can produce videos, it can take a prompt, build out workbooks. And I remember her calling me saying, what do I do with our instructional designer? It's a very small credit union. And I said, it's tough. I said, can you reallocate? Because I think what's going to happen, and I want everyone to really hear this. First of all, I love artificial intelligence for what it's done for our business. I build faster, I build better, I build more accurately with the tools. I now have a tool called coachappliedbuilder.ai that can build out coaching plans in a matter of seconds that absolutely 1000% coincides with the model that we teach in our courses. That's a huge plus for the value for our clients. So with that being said, what it's prompting people to do is to learn really, really fast. And if we don't learn, we're going to fastly get behind. But then human nature is, let's slow down. Even Sam Altman, the founder of ChatGPT, is recently quoted in October of 2025, we need to slow down. He's making a fortune right now because of the pace. He's actually saying to slow down. And so I think we have to understand its impact, but it puts leaders in a tough spot. So when an employee comes up and says, is my job on the line? Am I going to get replaced? That's a tough question, because then in the moment, it's easy to say, no, don't worry about it. And 6 months later, the mandate comes down that we're going to put AI into these following job functions. We need to reallocate people, which is going to force people to do what? Not resist, not take their time to think about it, but to quickly adapt and change. It is going to force employees' adaptability, flexibility, and their ability to embrace change at rapid speeds like they've never experienced before. They will not have a choice. I used in one of my other podcast episodes a very fundamental example of a receptionist. And she's been answering the phones at this manufacturing company for about 27 years. She's got about 6 years left. You know where this is going. I just want to do my job. I just want to get to retirement. She doesn't want change. She doesn't want to learn AI. And remember, they asked me to sit down and talk to her because I know her fairly well going into the company all these years. And I finally said, I'm going to leave you with a thought. And the next time I see you, I want you to just share with me what's going through your mind. She goes, okay. I said, you do not have a choice. The choice that your company has is to pay you, let's say 50 grand a year, whatever you're paid. Don't want to know what you're paid. Or $5 a month. And her jaw drops. I go, I'm not kidding you. I build this stuff. It is going to have an impact on humans. So if you take time to fight, you may not have that time to even fight or be listened to. That's how fast this is going. Now, while that creates fear and trepidation and anxiety, ask yourself, what do you do really well? Where else could that be allocated in the company? What are you willing to do to get to that retirement comfortably? Next time I see her, she comes up and she says, I have not stopped thinking about our conversation. And I said, where are you at? And she said, I've been reading. I went out and my grandson, who's a teenager, was showing me some things that I was blown away. I said, it's daunting. When you first experience it, like, what is this thing? And this thing is inside companies all over the place. I'll give you another example. I saw a tool in the medical field that actually can have somebody, without leaving their house, put their face up in front of a webcam, lay still, take a picture. The picture immediately looks at the skin for a dermatologist application, diagnoses your skin ailment, and can send a prescription to your local pharmacy in a matter of 5 to 10 seconds. Now, what's going to happen with that? What if it's diagnosed wrong? Would you go back to AI? Probably not. You'd go see your doctor, right? So what's happening is AI is going to force all these interactions. They are going to have what I call emotional impacts. They're going to have an impact on people. I'll give you another example. I was in a meeting in the Midwest at one of our credit unions, and they were talking and showing all these spreadsheets they wanted people to use. And I had just gone off a young lady's channel who showed how to use AI and automation with Microsoft Excel. I'm not an Excel person, so I know a little bit about H lookups, V lookups, pivot tables. She was literally showing the automation and how to use AI. It was blowing me away. So ironically, I get into this meeting. There's about 30 people in the meeting. And all of a sudden, somebody asked the question at the end of the meeting, well, how long will this take us to fill out all these spreadsheets, do you think? And the woman running the meeting goes, well, probably about 3 hours a week each. I'm looking around the room and I'm like, man, that's 90 hours. That's, holy cow, that's 360 to 400 hours a month. That I quickly ascertained I think would take about 5 minutes per person. Now, they're dealing with people's money, right? So do you want to throw AI at it and be wrong? Probably can't. But it wasn't really dealing with their customer, their members' money. And I was watching this, and the woman I report to said, what was going on with you? And I said, what do you mean? She said, you had this weird expression. So I confided in her, and I told her. She goes, are you serious? I said, oh yeah, that's all manual. That's done in a matter of seconds. I'm not saying you should do that, because what he's talking about, or the people in the group we're talking about, is very, very serious. AI is here. It is going to force adaptability. It is going to force employees to do things quicker and faster without emotional pushback. But it's also going to put leaders in very awkward, precarious conversational situations. What are your thoughts?
Thank you for listening to another episode of Coaching Conversations by Tim Hagen and Progress Coaching. Now, our company is always coming out with new and innovative solutions to help leaders coach their employees. And recently, we just created a new service called Coach to You, where leaders can pick and choose topics and assign 7 to 21-day programs for employees to learn and, more importantly, apply actions and then reflect and share what they're going to do going forward as a result of the learning. It's called Coach to You. We're literally bringing coaching to your employees. If you're intrigued, we'll have a link in each one of our episodes where you can get more information. And again, thank you so much for listening to another episode.